Welcome back, my awesome people. Today, I am honored to be sitting here with King Hassan. Now, usually I'm interviewing CEOs, finance, everybody in investing, but I'm so interested in what King Hassan has done with his accolades. He has been a writer, a producer, he's stand-up comedian, actor. He has done so much in the entertainment industry, and he's going to give us some amazing insight and a look not only into his life and his journey, but what's going on in the Hollywood and entertainment industry. So stay tuned because he's going to be dropping some amazing information, wisdom, and gems. So, King Hassan, how are you doing today?
Good, good. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to have a conversation.
I am honored to have you here with me today. I know it's a busy time. Just from your background, I can see you're in the sunshine, and I'm loving it. Just to get right into it, so can you tell us a little bit about yourself? What inspired you to get into entertainment as an actor, comedian, producer, and screenwriter?
Oh my goodness, that is quite the loaded question. How much time do we have? Unlimited?
Unlimited
Uh,
time.
yeah. So I was born in Alabama, and when I was two, I moved to London, and when I was four, I moved to Nigeria, and I was pretty much raised in the Bay Area. And while I was in the Bay Area, I my the job that I kind of put myself through college in was a server at the world famous Improv in San Jose. And I spent four and a half to yeah, I spent almost 5 years there, like literally watching some of like the most like household name comics. Uh like I saw Kevin Hart where when there was like 45 people who would like come see him on a Thursday night. Like I'm watching like these budding superstars kind of start their journey and like kind of watching them grow. And so I think that might have been the first like a look behind the curtains that kind of like started like to pique my interest in being able to be a storyteller. And I think that's gonna kind of be like being a storyteller is gonna be the through line through my entire career. So so I think that was probably my biggest like that was like where it all started for me. I remember the first time this is a fun story. So Mark Curry, hanging with Mr. Cooper. I don't know if you guys got that up there in
Oh,
Canada.
great show.
Yeah, Mark Curry, one of the all-time greats. He is from the Bay Area. And so what he would do is he would take he would take the last flight from LA to Oakland, hang out with his people, then come down and do the show. Well, Southwest was running late one night and he too was running late. So we needed to fill time. And so the opener did everything that they could. They didn't have any more material. Then the middle, the guy who the feature went for as long as he could, and Mark Curry still wasn't even in the city yet. His plane hadn't landed. So our boss comes in and he's like, "Does anybody want to go on stage?" And I was like, "Absolutely not." And the busboy, my buddy Fernando, was like, "Oh, I'll do it." And Fernando went up there and bombed. And I was like, "Oh, I can do that." I thought you wanted me to go up there and like be Mark Curry. Like I can go do that. And so
Just to
Fernando
delay
did
some
his
time.
time. Exactly. I was like, okay, cool. And I went up there and I can't even remember. I can't remember what I said. I remember like having an outer body experience. And I remember telling jokes or what I thought were jokes and bombing, of course. They were not there to see me. I was like wearing my improv uniform and I said something and I got like the tiniest chuckle. And I'm telling you, I've been chasing that laugh for my entire career. Like that one little yeah,
That was the seed that
I
was
see what he did there.
planted.
Yes, that was the seed that planted and grew into this. So
That is actually one of those you never know what can happen moments, if it wasn't for
yeah,
that flight, who knows if you would have gotten into comedy, right?
exactly. Yeah, I was a spectator, and so.
And so as so now that you are doing comedy and you're killing it, because I've watched a few of your stuff on Instagram, how has that translated into your other endeavors like acting, story writing? Because even comedy is kind of like storytelling. So how has that helped you out with the others?
I think, I mean, comedy, like I writing is like it's a part of me now. And so, but storytelling is the umbrella in which comedy, acting, directing, performing, it really is in which way do you want to tell the audience's story. And so, and I think mastering that, not math, you can't master comedy, but putting myself in a space where I just want to tell a story that everybody will enjoy. I think that is like the through line that's kind of helped me be the writer that I am, be the actor that I am. And, I personally don't think I'll ever get into directing. But right now, writing and performing is storytelling.
I mean, I think that's an achievement in itself because when you're watching a show, when you're watching a movie, you always get those couple of lines where you're like, "Wow, that was actually really good writing." So writers, in my opinion, are the core of how the story is told and how the actors or actresses play that story. So I think it's amazing, and I'm glad that it's part of you. But I have to ask, King, the name King Hassan. How did you? How, of course, that is your birth name, right?
Yeah, so here's the thing. I didn't go by King when I was a kid, because I don't know if this makes sense to you in Canada, but white people did not like calling a kid King in the 80s and 90s.
Wow.
So I went by my middle name, Adewumi, which I'm Nigerian, and so I went by my middle name Ade for most of my life. And King is a hard name to have when they're installing a window right next door. Is that going to be too much of a problem?
No, I don't hear anything.
Oh, perfect. Okay,
Yeah.
well then I will just try to pretend not to be distracted. Um,
Yeah, I mean, when you have a name like King, it's a big shoe to fill, but
right.
also it is kind of unfortunate, during that time, racism was flourishing. Like obviously,
Was.
it still is actually.
They fixed it in Canada. Good job, guys.
You know what? We can only hope for it. But no, racism is still alive and well. And like me, obviously, as a black person as well, I've had my fair share of it. But I can definitely tell that in the United States, it's at a different level than as it is in Canada. Because in Canada, we do have not as big of a racism. It's very quiet. I would say it's hidden racism. But I'm sure in the United States, maybe you can correct me or even elaborate on this. But how is the racism there? Is it hidden? Is it kind of very vocal, especially right now with the administration that we have and the past 10 years, I would say?
I mean, it's hard because I don't believe that America is any more or any less racist than it's ever been. I think that the people who have a lot have always found a way to make the people who don't have as much feel like if they just aren't black, that they have some inherent born with prosperity. And that makes it hard. Like I remember reading a report of like someone uh, tagging LeBron James um, house with the N word on it.
Oh, wow.
And I just remember thinking, I was just like, oh man, like this person thinks they got him. Like LeBron James is a billionaire. And like someone thinks that they can like demean him just by pointing out that he is a descendant of slaves. And so like in that I mean, I find myself to be fluent in racism, American racism, and it's like like I went to university in Malta. Do you know where that is?
I don't.
It's south of Sicily in the Mediterranean. That's where I went to
Oh,
university.
Malta. Yes, yes. It's like
Yeah, yeah,
an island off of it. Yes.
yeah. And so I remember that was like the first time I had like left the country like as an adult, and realizing that the racism in outside of America is there, it's just spoken in a language that I'm not fluent in. So it hurts. It hurts differently. Like here, it hurts, but it's like I get it. Like I understand, like the fabric in which I've been woven into here. But when you leave here, you're like, ah, but it's kind of like what we were talking about before. Like in Japan, there's bars that won't let black people in, and it. I don't know how they justify that. Like I don't know where black people in
I
the
mean,
history
we
of
black
Japan
people have
have
never
come
done
in.
anything to Japanese people or to the country of Japan. So it's like,
Right.
where did this
I don't know where
racism come
Africans
from?
exactly. So like I think at some point I believe that we all suffer like as a species of with mental illness. Like I don't I don't understand how yeah. So it gets a little hard. So yeah, the racism here is strong as it ever has been, that it probably ever will be, you know. I just hope that people
It's
continue to fight.
yeah, it's like no matter how much you've achieved, no matter what accolades you have, even if you've assimilated the best that you can, the skin color is always going to, you know, unfortunately have people try to diminish you on it, right? And it's unfortunate. It really is unfortunate because here in Canada, racism is here, but it's very kind of quiet about, right? It's as they call it systematic, right? Systemic, where
Systemic,
you
yeah.
may not get that promotion because of your color, but they'll never say that. You will never get this opportunity because of your color, but they'll never say that. But
Yeah.
but you can feel it. You can tell just from the glare of the eyes or just from the body language.
Yeah,
It's
the
there.
microaggressions.
Exactly, microaggressions. And just to continue elaborating on that, in the entertainment industry, Hollywood, or even small time, big time, how do the roles are affected? How are roles affected or job opportunities affected? Because I know Hollywood about 50 years ago, rarely you would see a black person. And if they were playing a slave or playing a maid or playing
Yeah.
some type of role that was very, I would say, subordinate. Has that maybe kind of gotten better? Because, Hollywood always preaches, inclusivity, diversity, but has that actually taken full impact yet or not yet? Or maybe will it
Uh
ever?
no, I mean I think that one thing Hollywood is doing is there's such a wide net of shows. Like Netflix has a billion shows that you can find, and so I think we're America's kind of losing its culture as far, and it's harder to use TV to like bring a people together, and
Yeah.
that's what I kind of miss about TV. Um, as far as like when I was growing up, because like you'd watch a show and then you go to school the next day and you talk about it with all your friends because you guys all watch that exact same thing. Now there's just so much out there. Like TV doesn't really connect us in the way that it used to, and I think that politics has kind of taken that role, where politics now is a thing that makes people group up together, and so which is scary because if you're on the losing side of that, you're really losing.
Honestly, you make a great point because I remember growing up, I would watch, for example, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, go to school the next day, whatever race we
Yeah,
were, we all watched it. We had great conversations. They might make some black jokes here and there, but we all laughed about it. It did bring people together. Now
yeah.
there's so many, as you said, there's a wide net of so many different shows.
You could talk about a show that you saw last night, and I might not even have ever even heard of it. Like that's
Yeah.
how wide it is, and so I think that's what I think the Netflix model is interesting, because they say, hey, whatever you're into, we got. And then you have, like Apple TV and like these other streaming platforms that are very like, they have Ted Lasso, or like they have very small groups of shows because they want everyone talking about like the quality of the show as opposed to the quantity. And I think with quantity, you do lose some level of attention to like what you're really trying to accomplish. So
100%, right? Like for example, you watch a Disney, they might have 100 shows, and out of the 100, you definitely have heard of it or seen it. Netflix, I mean,
yeah.
I think at this point they probably have 10,000 shows. So it's like, which one are you watching? So that actually is a really good point. I never thought of it like that. And so when you were going through your entertainment journey, or even just growing up, who were some of your mentors, influencers, people you look up to that created King as we know now?
Are you talking about like on air? Or are you talking about like actual like people?
It could be people that you've watched growing up or people that you've met in person, pretty much anybody.
I mean, I think like one of my idols, like when like whenever I tell people like, like what's your goal here in this industry? I think it would be somewhere close to what Issa Rae did or Donald Glover. I would like to be able to, and for me, like I don't need to star in it, but I do. I came to LA to tell my stories, and right now I am loving being able to help other showrunners tell their story, and that's the fun part. It's like I understand that we get to tell a story, and it's not lost on me that my grandchildren and my grandparents will have seen the exact same episodes of I Love Lucy. And that's crazy. Like
Yeah,
all the generations and forever. Like I Love Lucy is one of those shows that lives forever.
it's a
And so we
timeless
get to
classic.
tell, yeah, we get to tell these forever stories. And when I was writing Last Man Standing, it was the first time that something that I wrote got entered into the zeitgeist of foreverness.
Ooh.
And I remember thinking that like, oh my goodness, like I have the opportunity to have a conversation with my great grandkids who I may never meet, but I can talk to them specifically through like my interpretation of what I see going on during this time. And so yeah, we get to I've romanticized TV, like but I think it's beautiful. And for me it raised me. So
No, trust me, we've all been raised on those timeless classics. We still watch the reruns. I know they're forever on those channels where, they're always repeating the shows. And it's amazing because as you said, right? Our grandparents watched it, our parents watched it, we watched it, and our future children, grandchildren will end up watching it too, and we'll have the exact same conversations. Society might change, but the conversations may not. So that's the beauty of writing. And so, because you've lived in such diverse places, London, Nigeria, San Jose in the States, how has those experiences, whether it's professionally experiences or even just personal experiences shaped not only your comedy style or even your writing style? How have those locations shaped you, especially being a Nigerian person as well?
I it's funny because I think that I mean we haven't said this here yet, but I am currently living in Antigua, and
Which
I
I am so
think
jealous
that
about.
there's only 365 beaches. What's to be jealous about? There's I think that being exposed to different cultures at such a young age kind of fostered this curiosity of how humans relate to each other and how they care for each other. And watching different cultures try to accomplish the same thing as far as caring about your neighbor really gave me a different way to look at myself. And it's something that I pray that I get to do for my children is give them a more global um, outlook on what it is to be a person and to be part of a community. Because it isn't just about being the best American or being the best Californian, or it's about being the best human in a space that we all have to share. And the world gets
Exactly.
really, really small the more you see it. And so, like, it's easy to like hate another culture or hate like another country or another way of doing it if you can't relate to them. And so it's very important and that's what I think the storytelling does. I think that's what I get to do with TV. I get to create conflict and then create solutions, and
It's no,
that I
it's
love doing.
It's true because one of my favorite rappers, Nas, he says we hate what we don't understand. And so when you're in this bubble of whether you're just in America or you're just in Canada, you're just in this one location and never really went abroad and went beyond and met different cultures. You don't you just start opening your mind because now you're understanding, and the more you understand, the less hate that you have. And even if it's not hate, but the less, I guess, ignorance that you have to different things. It's just like food, for example. If you've never had a hamburger before, you're gonna be like, ew, what is that? But then once you try it, you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So I think story writing, TV shows, as we talked back in the days, they gave us a glimpse of to the outside world that we were not, used to at the time. And I think now, even though people are traveling like crazy, they're just traveling, I would say, on a surface level and
Oh,
not
they're
really.
vacationing.
Yeah,
I travel. They're vacationing. Those are two different
it
experiences.
is
And I
too.
think you were so right. I think you're so right with the burger situation. Like if you don't like a burger till you eat it, and then you're like, oh, okay, I guess I can handle it. It's just meat, cheese, and bread. And then you just look at a taco, you're like, oh, that's gross. And you're like, hey, it's just meat, cheese, and bread. And then you look at
Yeah,
lasagna and you're like, oh my God, our pizza, is it just meat, cheese. It's all actually the same. So hating it because you never experience it is mental illness. And so
it is.
it's just all the same thing. It's living in fear and yeah, so
And that's the thing, right? The fear of the unknown. So I always tell
right.
people, if you're traveling, okay, do your vacation for a few days, but go to the city, go to the
Yeah.
museum, go to the mom and pop, restaurant. Don't just keep going to the same restaurants that you see, back home when you
Not
travel.
only that, but if you go to a third world country and you're in an all inclusive resort and you're like living the life and you're
Mhm.
paying $3,000 a night to have this experience, go outside the resort
Yeah.
and try to understand why this resort can be fully booked year round at $2,000 a night or whatever like that, and then just outside the walls, the people there don't have running water.
Yeah.
Like, why isn't the resorts? Why isn't the money that the resort is? The resort's making millions and hundreds of millions and billions of dollars in tourism and all this other stuff. Why aren't the people there allowed to benefit from the land that they have to be with? Like, like it's just
It's like it's literally having two worlds right beside each other, but they never
yeah.
interact with each other.
And
Which is
realizing that you could just be on the other side of that one day.
exactly, yeah.
Like, yeah, the
It's
bottom shouldn't be as low as it is.
No, and I think hopefully, I know it's not going to happen anytime soon, but I'm hoping, at least hopefully within our lifetime, we can see some type of change, especially for the people who don't always have the opportunities to go to those amazing colleges and universities or get that
Yeah,
amazing career because you know, circumstances are circumstances. And that is why I personally believe in entertainment not just being entertaining. It's also to be passing on a message, influencing the people watching it to not only do better for themselves, but do better for your community, for the things around you. So I give a lot of credit to screenwriters because you can have screenwriters that further the stereotype. Then you have screenwriters who will show you a different light. So, and that's why I give you mad kudos to what you do. I know it's a hard job, but also very, very worthwhile. And so, looking at some of your projects, what would you say is some of the most challenging projects that you worked on and you eventually overcame, whether it was the story part or maybe the acting part? What were some challenges that you had to deal with?
I'd probably say like my very first show is um admittedly was a very conservative show, very conservative with Last Man Standing. And so it was hard to know if I would have like an actual place in the show where I didn't necessarily uh believe culturally in the audience that I was catering to. And so that for me was like a challenge that I didn't know. And then I got into the writers' room and I understood that like we all took it as a personal responsibility to be able to have conservative conversations in a way that brought people into a space where they cared about other people. And once I started looking at it that way, I was like, oh, like it is a privilege to be able to have this audience. Most of the time you talk to people who just think like you and you just sit in your little echo chamber and these are the only conversations that you have with people. And it was like such a blessing to be able to be in a space where my audience got to be people who necessarily didn't think like me and heck didn't even respect that I had the opportunity to just talk to them. Like I remember my first episode, I wrote the comment sections. Oh, they lit me up. And oh, what did Obama write? It was so. it was so like they tell you never to read the comment sections of anything you put out there because only mean people have time to comment. And so, but like it really did make me feel good to be able to have that conversation with people who I normally wouldn't.
And you're absolutely right. Like even when I watch a television show, sometimes I watch shows that kind of align with my beliefs and my views. But it's always good to step out and kind of see what the other side says because you wrote for 21 episodes for Last Man Standing and maybe
Yeah.
even more. So I definitely can say that if they didn't like you, you probably wouldn't have written that much. But
Right.
but
Yeah.
your influence, I'm sure it definitely not changed, but definitely influenced those viewers who probably would have never, watched a different type of show that was not
Right.
aligning with their beliefs. So you gave them some spice. Maybe they handled it, maybe they didn't.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
that's the best part. And as I said, right, that's what screenwriters have to do. They have to, break those boundaries. Even if you are on a show that's not aligned with your beliefs, but you can kind of cross and kind of show them that hey, there's also another side to this. So staying with the Last Man Standing, how was the dynamic on the set, especially working with Tim Allen and the rest of the cast? Because I grew up on Home Improvement, Tim Allen,
Yeah, we all did.
I know, great show, classic time. So now that it's more in the modern time, how was working with Tim Allen?
Tim Allen is no matter what people say about him, he has an it factor. He just is. You don't do 8 years of a TV show where you're the face of it, and then do another 9 seasons of another show, and then he has another show that just came out, and and then he just has an it factor. He just does. And so whatever it is, like he just has magic to him. And you just have
He
to
has a
like
je
you
ne
just
sais
have to
quoi.
yeah. It is something that is actually like really interesting to see in person. And so
And and
I
and I
love
mean,
it.
and I mean, I think a lot of people who watch Last Man Standing are also a lot of fans of Home Improvement because his witty jokes, his kind of just the way he parents, the relationship that he had with the guy on the other side of the fence. I think that was just just a hilarious relationship.
The funniest thing about those two shows was in Last Man Standing or in Home Improvement, Tim Allen was always wrong. He was always learning a lesson.
He was,
Each
yeah.
show was him messing up, blowing something up, like knocking something down, putting in a hole where it didn't belong, and him learning something. And when I got to write for him in Last Man Standing, you realize that in this show, Tim Allen is always right,
Ah,
and he's like the leader of his house, and he's like the protector and the provider, and he's like shaping like the views and helping everyone else with their problems. So like, and that's what I say when you talk about like someone having an it factor, like that doesn't even dawn on you. You're just experiencing the character that he's playing. You don't even realize like all the dynamics and how they're two very different characters. And so
so it's kind of like he kind of learned from his mistakes over time, and then the Last Man Standing is him kind of reflective, a more polished person. I don't know if this is a secret or not, but is there any connection to Home Improvement and Last Man Standing? Is there kind of like a play on with one another, or is it just a totally
there was
separate show?
it was one episode. No, they're so different that we had an episode where our last man standing, Tim Allen, had a visit from Tim Allen from Home Improvement. Like Tim
Oh,
Allen from Home Improvement was just in town, and so that's just how separate that they are. That they can both exist. Yeah. So that
that
was
is
that
so
was fun.
cool though. That is actually
Yeah.
so cool. Okay, so let's go to your next work, pivoting. So you were the
Ah,
story
yes.
editor, huh? Yeah, you're the story editor on pivoting. Personally, I haven't watched it. I'm sure many of my viewers have watched it, maybe some didn't.
It was a good show. It should have lasted. It should have lasted. It should have kept going. I wish it would have.
Yeah, can you tell us more about it? Like how many seasons was it on for? What's it about? Because I
It
wouldn't
was
mind at all
only.
going back and watching it.
I don't even know if I can, but it only lasted one season. And the funny thing is, that it took the exact time slot on the exact network as Last Man Standing. So for me,
Oh,
like, yeah, tuning in was just the exact same thing as the season I had worked before. But the sad part about that show was it started to make me realize the fundamental problem in the way that networks treat their comedies. You have to give comedies time to be funny, to find their audience, to develop the characters in between. Like, like you can't do 8 episodes of a comedy. You just can't. Like you need 22 episodes. You need like the characters kind of need to find like, you can't eat a cake right out the oven. You gotta let it sit. And so I think if that show would have got a second season, it would have been off to the races. It
yeah.
was it was fun. It was a fun show.
Yeah, I mean, especially with comedic shows, you need to have that time to kind of marinate, right? The first season
Yeah.
is usually about character development, audience. I mean, whenever you watch a show, the first few episodes are usually really slow, right? It's just starting to begin. You're understanding who they are. The story's just starting, and then by season 2, you're like, oh yeah, okay, I know what happened. There's more of a conversation piece. And was it strictly just because of the time slot that kind of reduced the ratings, or was there any other, I
It
guess,
I
politics
think it
behind it or
honestly,
funding?
yeah. I don't know the politics behind it. It eventually became like a financial decision just to scrap the show. And but it was just one of those shows that if this would have kept going, it would have been great. I mean, the first season of The Office, I don't necessarily think in today's world would have let it get a second season.
Yeah.
And you know what I
It
mean?
was all
Like
over the place.
it is now regarded as one of the all-time greats. But Seinfeld, like like didn't have the viewerships, didn't have like people
Yeah.
gave it time to find like for them to be found.
I think it's
And
also maybe like our attention span now. 20 years ago, like, Seinfeld, shows like that, Office, we had the attention span to, hey, even if it was slow and boring in the beginning, we stuck with it. Now, I guess, if it's slow and in the first couple of episodes, people are like, yep, I'm not even going to give it a chance. Next episode or next show that I'm going to watch. Maybe that can also play a factor in it because we do live in a very low attention span type of society with social media. Every 2 seconds, you're seeing something different.
I challenge that because I
Please do.
think
Please do.
what I think actually happened is at some point we started confusing making content with making art,
Ooh.
and art just needs time to be appreciated sometimes, and content is ostensibly disposable. Like nobody goes to the water cooler and talks about that Vine that they saw back in 2008 or whenever Vine was out. Like, you know what I mean? Like no one talks about that funny reel, like, you know what I mean, that they saw like, 2 weeks ago. Like it is meant to be absorbed and then pooped out like the
And
second,
disregarded.
to
Yeah.
make room for the next one. And so, and that's great that for that medium of communication, but TV shows aren't like that. And so, yeah, you can make art for low attention spans, or you could just make art and have people come around and appreciate it. And I think that if you give it time, people will appreciate something that's done well.
That is
And
actually
so,
such a good point. It's kind of like, doing a painting and having a manufactured painting that goes through a factory. It's just like create, dump, move on to the next thing compared
yeah,
to you've taken your time, the actors, actresses, amazing work, the screenwriters, like it's actually created for the purpose of,
yeah,
lasting a long time. Um,
nothing's wrong with fast food. Nothing is wrong with fast food, but you just shouldn't consume it all the time. At some
exactly.
point, you should have like a really good meal. And so, yeah, yes, go to Instagram, go to TikTok, go get all your fun stuff. But at some point, sit down and enjoy something with forethought and with storytelling, and that is
Savor
going
the
to
moment.
exactly, yeah, or be a part of the next moment. Like, yeah, we're losing. we're losing the ties to each other. And
We
so,
we actually are, and that actually leads me to my next point. So you were also the executive story editor and writer for that '90s show, which is the reboot of
oh,
that '70s show, which I loved growing up, and I think it's also a timeless classic. I still watch the reruns whenever I get the chance. How did you get involved with that '90s show?
it was, I mean, getting involved with a show isn't as magical as people think it is. I mean, your agent submits you for shows, and then you have an interview, and then they pick you. So, like, I mean, it really like I needed a job. They had an opening, but it was fun. It was fun to be able to find, because that was the third show that I worked on. But I think it was the first show where I felt I was talking to an audience that I was from, because Last Man Standing, like I said, had more of a conservative, older audience, and pivoting. It was three women kind of going through their own midlife crisis, and so not necessarily something that I might have tuned in to watch if I didn't realize how good it was, like off the bat. But that '90s show, being a kid growing up in the '90s, I was like, oh, that's me. Like I remember these stories. Like this feels authentic to me, and so I think that was the most fun I had for the stories that I was able to tell.
And I mean, that's the
So
best part of it, right? If you actually have not only the passion, but you were there when the original came out, you know the little remarks, the comments, and how the actors, did certain things. So as the writer for the '90s show, how were you able to balance the keeping it, true to the traditional ways of that '70s show, and then also modernizing it for the next generation or the new generation?
I mean, the balance really lies in being
Like,
hyper
did they give you
focused.
creative control where you're able to create a whole new, type of show, or did they kind of want you to also include, some of the that '70s show elements as well?
I mean, they definitely wanted to be that '70s show for the '90s, and I think it was like we had a much younger cast than that '70s show, and so I think that it was hard for us to write like adult content like at first, because like they looked like children, like you
Yeah.
know what I mean, as opposed to that '70s show, like okay, these are grown-ups playing kids and they're talking about
Yeah.
sex and stuff like that, but after a while you're like, oh, this is like a 14-year-old girl type, and so like there was a little bit of an adjustment in that space. But I think like once we, especially like the second season, like once we started like the ball rolling, I think that show like became special, because we did like like it was familiar characters who knew who they were, like it's in a lot of in a lot of shows the characters kind of find who they are, but in this show like every character was so specific and so like dialed in, like it really was an honor to work with like such a talented cast.
Oh man, it must have been so fun. And were you
It
able
was cool.
were there any cast members from that '70s shows that made appearances, that came on, maybe helped with any of the actors or actresses or even writers, or what,
Oh
or
yeah.
yeah.
So I mean, like the showrunner. I mean, he wrote on like every episode of that '70s show. So like, and he was like our captain, who sailed the ship, and then of course you had Red and Kitty, like like they were staples on the show, and Laura Prepon, the who played oh my goodness, Donna. She not only did she act in the shows, but she was also the director for I believe eight episodes. So I
Wow.
mean, yeah, it was a familiar family that like allowed me to come in and play, like you know what I mean. And I think it was such a special experience.
Yeah, because you were the story editor and writer for 16 episodes. So I mean, that already in
Yeah,
itself is an interesting and I would say memorable experience. Who knows? Maybe in 50 years, it might, that 2050 show or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, maybe I'll be the showrunner of that show.
You'll be the director at that point, even though you say you don't
Yeah,
want to be
yeah,
a
yeah.
director. So how do you handle, as a writer, how do you handle disagreements between creative differences? How does the writing stage work? Like, I have no idea how that works. Do you all like sit together and kind of bring ideas together, or does everybody kind of create their own thing and then kind of bring it together? How does writing for a show work?
Um, so a really good showrunner will know exactly the story they want to tell, and he or she um will share that vision with and other writers. And then our job as essentially his assistants will offer ideas or ways in or different perspectives. Like, like if he is if he's like a straight white guy and he wants to tell a story about the first time um his female protagonist loses her virginity, maybe he just says, I want her to lose her virginity, and then he outsources ideas to the women who actually had that experience so they can tell an authentic version of that story,
Oh,
you know? And we all like chip in and we all like give our opinions. He or she has the final say as a showrunner. And we really get to see help we serve at the pleasure of the showrunner. And like I said, like it is an honor to because getting your show on the air is almost impossible, and you have to treat it like that. Like you just,
I can
I have
imagine all the
25.
competition and everything.
Yeah, because they there's like 20,000 writers. We all want to get our shows on the air. Each network puts on maybe two new shows a year. You know what I mean? Like, and
Yeah.
so like to get your show on air is an amazing feat. And so for somebody to pick you to help them tell this story that almost never existed, it's a beautiful thing, and I really love the opportunity to be part of telling someone else's story. My ultimate goal is to be in a position where I get to pick people to help tell one of my stories. So
That that
I want to
really
learn as
is
much.
that really is like a needle in a haystack. It's like you have all this competition, all these ideas, all these shows. How do you pick it for your network, right? Like I'm sure the networks
Right.
decide based on, their audience, their viewers, and so on. But hey, King, that is amazing. I'm so happy that you were able to tell your story through obviously different mediums, but I'm sure very, very soon you will be able to tell your story, your true, authentic story, and I cannot wait to watch it, experience it, and then I'll bring you back on this channel, and I'll be like, we did it, we did it, we did
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
Joe,
yeah,
we
we
did
did
it, Joe.
it.
So you worked on such a diverse group of television shows, movies, writing for so many different types. What are some genres or projects that you haven't explored yet, but you want to in the future?
Oh, I don't care. Like I don't care.
So you're open to
It's
anything.
yeah, I mean, for me personally, I think of I think of the lesson. I think, what do I want the audience to feel? And then I figure out what genre helps get that point across the most efficiently. So sometimes that is through sci-fi, sometimes that is through drama, sometimes that is through like dark comedy, sometimes that is through multi. Do you know the difference between multicam and single cam?
No, can you elaborate, please?
Yeah, multicam is when there's basically anytime you hear a live studio audience, it's multicam. So like Big
Oh,
Bang Theory, Friends, like like those are multicam. Like it's basically a play that's shot in front, and like the cadence in which people tell jokes is completely different. And then you have single cam like uh, Modern Family or New Girl, where it's
like a closed
there's
set.
the exactly, it's a closed set, and so those are single cam comedies. So some things are a little bit more digestible in either format. So I have to make a decision. It's like the story that I want to tell, how do I want people to digest it? And I let that take me, but there's no restrictions.
I mean, hey, I just learned something new. I did not know
Yeah.
I thought the live studio audience was just to get an authentic laugh. I didn't know that it was more like a play or kind of more like, theatrical because you're there doing it live in front of other people. Whereas a closed set, it's like cut, redo, you can
Oh,
perfect it.
they
Oh,
do
do
that in
they?
multicam also. Oh man, we be having we to shoot a 30-minute episode, we'll sometimes have the live studio audience there for like 10 hours. Like
OMG.
doing retake. Yeah, it's whew. Sometimes I feel bad for the audience. I'm like, just release them. We'll just add laughs at later.
Oh,
But
I did not know that. I thought it was
yeah.
all right. We've perfected it. Bring in the audience. Maybe one or two takes. All right, day's
Oh
over.
no. We'll rewrite jokes right there on the spot. We'll write a joke and then people will laugh and then we'll reshoot it and then people will laugh a little less and then we're like, what if they said this instead? And then we'll give the audience like a new take and who knows what take or what joke is gonna make it like at the end. So
And do you at least feed them if they're there for 10 hours, or is it like,
oh
oh,
yeah. No,
okay?
they get fed. They get fed.
Because I would be sitting there saying, I'm never doing this again. I'm never coming again if
No,
I'm
no, no,
sitting there
no.
hungry.
We appreciate that. We can't do it without the audience. That
Exactly.
style doesn't work without them. So like we take care of the people who take care of us.
No, that's amazing, King. So we've talked a lot about acting and the acting world. Let's talk a little bit about comedy. So, what do you think? Especially you're a stand-up comedian. You've done so many different types of jokes from A to Z. What do you think makes a great comedian, especially in today's society, where everything's offensive, everything can cancel you, and everything that's going on. Like, 20 years ago, even 10 years ago, you could have said anything. You have the Chappelles, you have the Cat Williams, you have the Kevin Harts, the Bill Burrs. They can say whatever and they're still on there. These days, they could get canceled at any moment because of something they said. So, what makes a
Who
great
could get
comedian in this dope?
canceled?
Huh?
I never understood this. Who name me a canceled comedian, just out of curiosity. Just so I know
So,
what we're talking about.
I'm a big Bill Burr fan. I know Bill Burr was
Uh-huh.
canceled, I would say a few years ago. He just came back up recently. He got canceled because he
So he's
made a
not
fat.
canceled.
He's not canceled now. No. He lost a lot
What
of
does
tour.
canceled mean? What
Oh,
does it mean?
canceled means like they're not promoting you, they're not marketing you. You're pretty much on your own at that point where you gotta like comedy shows won't book you, they won't allow you to come on stage. Like Cat Williams, for example, I think he was canceled for like 5 6 years until just recently where nobody was gonna book him. He couldn't find a manager that would accept him. So I would say, well, that's my definition of canceled and what I know, but
Yeah.
it could mean to something else to someone else. But cancel would mean you're not being booked for shows anymore because of your views or something you said or something like that.
If you're if you're funny, you can't be canceled. You just can't be.
Yeah.
Because people like if you have fans, if people enjoy you, like you can sometimes take accountability for something that you may not have you later on reflect. Like Louis C.K. He got
Yeah.
into a lot of trouble, and he could have kept going. He could have said, I'll figure it out. He has enough money and enough clout where he could have just bought a venue and said, "Hey, come and see me." But
He
he
would have still
made
sold
the
out. Yeah.
exact. He still would have sold out. He's selling out today.
Yeah.
He made the choice to take it, like to acknowledge that he may have done something wrong, and he took some time off. But I mean, no, you can't. No, nobody's cancelable. You can't cancel anybody. Like we're our own business. Like
Exactly. It's an independent business. So do you think the better route would be say, okay, you know what? If this is what society thinks of me, I'm just gonna do it on my own and continue pushing. Or do you think you should take a step back, reflect, and say, okay, I'm a better person now. I've learned from my mistake, and try to get booked, the traditional way. Which path do you think people should take if they are quote unquote canceled?
I think the point of comedy. I think what makes a comic good. I think was your original question. The whole point of this whole thing is to um, care. After my set, you'll care about me because you'll know about me and you'll know that I cared enough about you to do my best to make you laugh, do my best not to ostracize or make someone feel bad about themselves. And there are some comics who, they like roasting the crowd, and they like,
Yeah.
like going in on the crowd. But there is an unspoken agreement that those people are allowing themselves to be put in the space, to be the butt of a joke, to let everyone else laugh at them, and to show them that they care. There's this exchange of caring about people. And I think anytime you do that as a comic, you're doing your job well. And I think that if you mess up in life, like we all do, you're allowed to reflect and then help other people grow, or show people that you grew by having conversations about it. And so, yeah, I think that's my answer.
I think that's very well put, because, as comedians, you have to, obviously, you have that relationship with the audience. They did pay to see you. They probably already know your material from other shows. So it is that unspoken agreement. But you know how some people are. They'll crash out and be like, But I think overall, I think comedians should be safe from being canceled or from being ostracized because of their humor and jokes. Which leads me to my next point. Comedians, these days people say comedians are the real journalists because they highlight things in the political realm, social realm, whereas journalists, they just talk to talk. Do you think comedians are becoming the truth tellers? And do you think that they should be able to talk about very important issues? You'll hear the jokes, but there's also truth in it as well.
You asked a lot of questions there. I think I think that I don't think that comedians are journalists. I I don't think we're smart enough to be journalists. I think journalists and journalism is like, it takes a lot of research and a lot of caring, like a lot of being able to hyper focus on one thing and to care about this one thing. Like journalism, like it's again with like mass producing things. Like it takes a long time to have the integrity of a journalist, like, you know what I mean, of a real journalist is important to their craft, as much as caring about people's feelings and caring about making people laugh is important to ours. And so I think there are two very different professions, and I hate the when people conflate the two, because if I am motivated by the politics because I happen to be I happen to be sympathetic to what happens to disenfranchised people, being part of the disenfranchised community. So the visually disenfranchised community. I myself am fine. I'm in Antigua, but but I have to explain to people that that, and so I'm sympathetic to the visibly disenfranchised people. So whenever they are under attack, I feel like I am under attack, and that shapes what I want to talk about at that time. And usually that's through what's happening politically. I'm not a journalist. I'm just showing how I care in this specific stance. And so
You're pretty much
people
reporting
should
what
be,
you're observing, experiencing. You're not like diving
yeah,
into like some deep dive research or something. It's more of,
yeah,
what's happening at that moment.
right. It's like I have the capacity to sit here and write a book or write an op-ed, but that's something different than me getting on stage and like talking about which electric car I think is people should or shouldn't be driving. I'll leave that at that. And so, yeah.
No, that's good because a lot of people don't even trust journalism anymore. They don't trust the news media. So a lot of their opinions come from the people we look up to, the entertainers, the actors,
But then,
actresses, their opinions.
we're media. We're we're it. Like I can't be on stage telling you not to trust the media as the media, and then you be like, "Oh, I'm not going to trust the media because the media told me not to trust." People
It's
get
it's like
so,
the Spider-Man meme where they're all looking at each other and
yeah,
pointing.
exactly. I'm like, all right, yeah.
Well, you've been in the industry for a while now and for a long time, and you've done amazing work. So, what's like the best advice that someone in the industry has, given you, whether it's professionally or personally? Do you have any some advice that really kind of maybe change your opinion on certain things or change your professional life?
No, no.
Perfect.
It's
So,
it's it's like this. Like my journey is so specific to me that okay, my advice it might not be specific to it might not work for you if you're a woman or if you are a white man or like you know what I mean. Like I had a very my journey into this world was so tailored to who I am as a person, and so I guess if there is any advice, it is to do your best to authentically be you, because when they need someone to speak out for a community or a person, or they need a specific voice, like if you sound like everyone else, then
you
why
won't be
would
able to
they pick
stand
you?
out.
Exactly. So
No, that's good.
authenticity, I think, is probably it.
I like the way that you have that mentality because I'm kind of the same way. Like my story is my story, unique to me. I can't say that I can tell my story and have four other people relate to it because it's pretty much tailored to me. So I like that, King. I like that. So are there any other projects that you're excited about that's coming up? I know you're in Antigua right now. That's already an amazing, moment. But is there anything coming up? Are you doing comedy in Antigua? Are you doing anything in entertainment in Antigua? Or are you just kind of hanging out, relaxing, enjoying life, or maybe plans to come back to the United States and work on some projects. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm incapable of relaxing. So I try. I'm trying so hard and it's not working. I write a project every single month. So whether it's a movie or or a TV show, every single month, at the minimum, I need to have one project written and completed. And so I moved here the day before the inauguration, and
You escaped the
so
winter.
yes, yeah, that's what I escaped. So I
And you're not the
so
only
September.
one. I know a lot of people who left LA for due to the presidential. I know Rosie O'Donnell
Yeah,
right now is in Ireland, I believe. Ellen
yeah.
DeGeneres left, I believe, as well. So yeah, there's a few people who left, and eh,
It's
eh,
interesting to be put in the category as Ellen DeGeneres. So like like I'll take it. She's like the difference between us two. But yes, yeah. I mean, it was a multitude of things. It was where the state of the industry was, like just coming off the the strikes, and how hard that was for the industry to bounce back. Of my show
yeah,
being canceled, the politics, and then the fires.
that was
I had been
devastating.
wanting to, yeah, and I didn't lose my house, but there were so many people that did, and so many people that needed a house. Me and my family were just like, we have the ability to rent our house out to somebody who wants to be here. We should probably do that, and so
And that's a
that's
good
what we did.
move
And
because they're
yeah,
still in rebuilding mode. I think the last statistic I heard is going to take about 5 to 10 years to kind of clear, the devastation, rebuild things, and yeah, we just have to
yeah,
make sure that our lives are good and our neighbors' lives are good and the people around us. So that was a good move. It wasn't a selfish
yeah,
move. You wanted to leave anyway, so why not give your house up to someone who unfortunately lost theirs. So
yeah.
that's
And
a
like
good
I
move,
got young
King.
kids, and like just being able to give them an international experience was
And it was the perfect
important to me.
timing because I mean, right now America's not doing too well. We got
No, no,
tariffs,
I mean,
we got a whole, like, I mean, we're gonna be the 51st state maybe one day. So, we got so much
sorry
things
about that.
going on out there. It's
Yeah.
it's incredible. But so if someone wanted to get into, final question, if someone wanted to get into the entertainment industry, whether as a comic, actor, screenwriter, anything of that nature, what advice would you give them? Whether they're young, not young, just a general advice to someone who wants to get into this work.
Um, Participate in it. I have a lot of people who want to be writers or actors that get into the industry, I'd be like, "Oh, that's crazy! Like, what shows are you watching right now?" And they're like, "Oh, I don't watch TV." And I'm like, well, "Then what are you doing?
They're just
Like
coming
this
in cold
job?"
turkey.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's not when I got into the WGA, the Writers Guild of America, they told me that it is harder to get into the WGA than it is to get into Major League Baseball.
Oh, wow.
Like the statistics. And then the person corrected him and was just like, actually, they only let men play in Major League Baseball and they let everybody write. So it's actually twice as hard. Like however hard it was, like the difference was, it is twice as hard to get into to become a writer specifically. So the people who do write are usually the ones that are obsessed with being able to participate in TV. And so if you don't have that type of passion, don't take up a parking spot. Like
Yeah.
go we don't have parking as it is. Like do not get in line. Like we have too much traffic. If like you're not obsessed with TV, if you're not obsessed with like telling stories, then like find something that you're obsessed with and
Yeah,
go do
it's not a
that.
part-time job. It's not just like you wake up, it's not a 9 to 5. You're pretty much
Yeah.
dedicated to this craft, right? It's a
Yeah.
skilled craft. And hey, I think every industry has those people who it's like a construction worker. Have you ever poured cement? No, I haven't, but I would like to try. It's like, why
Yeah.
even bother?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's just so, yeah, just love it and have an authentic story that you want to tell. And I think that that's the only access to success in this industry.
I wholeheartedly agree. So my viewers, as you can see, you have to be part of what you want to become. You want to become an actor, actress, writer, get involved. Don't just
Yeah,
go to
watch it,
school
study
and
it,
think,
care
yeah,
about it.
study it.
Yeah.
You're learning. You got to learn. Like every show might have something you learn from, oh, they made that joke right after this statement. Oh, that's a good combination, right? It just totally makes sense. So King, that was amazing, amazing wisdom and knowledge that not only about the entertainment and Hollywood industry and the comic world, but even just society and looking at the dynamic of human interaction and human development. You're a very intelligent man. Hence why you're on the beach right now, and we're out here, struggling with the snow and the rain.
You don't have to be there. You can just go somewhere.
I know, I
The
know.
technology exists.
I 100% agree with that. Trust me, I will be on a beach one day. Next time I interview you, I will be on one of the 300 beaches.
365, we got them.
Hey, one beach every day, right?
Exactly.
King, before we conclude this interview, do you have any last mentions? Anything you want to highlight? Anything you want to promote to my audience or to the digital world?
No, I'm not. I mean, if you want to follow me, it's just me with my shirt off, like on the beach. Uh, so yeah, I mean, find me if you want. I don't care. If, oh, here's the thing. Here's the thing. And this was dumb of me. I should be promoting myself. I should be, oh, follow me, whatever like that. I just don't care. I didn't
Well,
come to, it's important. It's important. My manager says, like, you got to get your followers up, especially you want to be on stage and stuff like that. I understand. So please follow me. I promise you, I won't annoy you with like homemade movies or whatever like that. Just
Well, the
who
best part
cares?
is I will have all of your information, your contacts, your socials in the description box. So viewers, definitely check him out. Of course, if you are, a nostalgic person like myself, please watch Last Man Standing, That 90s Show, Pivoting, any type of works. I go to IMDb. There's such a list of what King Hassan has been doing over the years, and I'm looking forward to more work that is coming up. So King, thank you so much for sitting here with me today. I know I'm taking some time away from the sunshine and the sunbathing.
Gotta even
um,
on my tan, homie.
I know, I know. I'll get you back out there very soon. So thank you, King. My viewers, like and subscribe. And I said I'll put all of his information in the description box. Check it out. And if you have any questions, hey, ask him. If you're trying to get into Hollywood entertainment, you got a really cool question, hey, DM him. I'm sure he'll answer. Comment on the comments. I'll probably try to answer if I know anything about entertainment or Hollywood. But until the next time, stay ranting.